Hi. So this is what I want to talk about today because we all know that more your mind is quiet, more you can feel at peace, more you can hear yourself, more you can be happy and joyful with yourself and in your relationships and with your family. So it's important to get this to mute. Why is it not muting? How many of us, of you, have had the experience that you go to bed and you can't sleep? It's just racing, going back and forth, right? So it shows up like that. And to some of you, you might think, oh, it's stress. So yes, it's stress. Underneath that, yes, there's anxiety. But underneath that, there's actually shame. So a lot of us go to see coaches or therapists regarding anxiety, but a lot of the times the anxiety is actually tied to shame. So then that means you want to work with the shame and not the anxiety. Because remember, how I work is we need to work from the core. If not, you're just dealing with symptoms, and symptoms just means you're going to be stuck in the same situation over. So ruminating thoughts, to recap, ruminating thoughts are anxiety-based, but most importantly are shame-based. Now, let me ask you a question. I want you to do this exercise. It's a quick digging exercise to understand core beliefs. But if I'm going to bed and I'm not sleeping, what am I thinking about? Am I thinking about my interview tomorrow? Am I thinking about this presentation I need to do? Am I thinking about, I don't know, something that I said today that that kind of bothers me? So whatever the situation is, I want you to look at it and I want you to ask this. What is it that I'm afraid of? So let's say I said something that doesn't feel right. Then this person will think that I am fill the blank. Or tomorrow, I'm going to talk in front of a big presentation, or I'm holding a conference, or whatever the situation is. And I want you to ask, okay, so what's the worst thing that can happen? So we're labeling the fear. And if that happens, then what am I afraid of? What are people going to think? Or what am I going to think of myself? I will feel as though I am, fill the blank. Failure, incompetent is a big one that comes forward. And then you can go a little bit deeper. Okay, so if people think that I'm incompetent, then what? What's going to happen? Then they might think that I am what? So go a little bit deeper. But in these beliefs around the fear of being incompetent, the fear of some of us is around being weak, the fear of disappointing, so, there's just so many, but let's start with that. Those are all shame-based. And when we're talking about shame says this: you become smaller than someone else. And becoming smaller than someone else, when you're shame, you're small, then that makes people around you in power. And that's very uncomfortable, especially for those that actually have already a beliefs around being weak. Because if you're smaller, it just brings you back to this belief of being weak. Right? But it's all happening in the subconscious mind. So I'm helping you to do some digging process, because it is so important to dive into the subconscious mind, which all of you know by now that that's one of the things that I'm an expert in. I can dive into it pretty quickly, and that's where your answers are. And when you come face to face with that, then that's how we can transform it and deprogram it, because guess what? This is like a computer system, and we do not have the capacity to put an antivirus in it. So that means that you become the channel to catch yourself when there's a file or a programming that is going through your mind, or at least the subconscious mind. You need to get someone, because when you can catch it, you are empowered again, and then you are not, a slave to this thought, this belief that is pushing you, and you don't even know it's running you, but it is. So we got to watch out for these programs up here, and we want to make sure that we can catch it, because in the end, freeing this means less stress in my mind than in my life, and happy, happy and joyful from inward, right? So when I talk about happy, I always talk about it coming from an inner place first. So yeah, just a thought for today.